What is going on, YouTube? Khalil the Mechanic is back. I know it's been a while since I've posted a tutorial or just anything at all, but I was feeling good today, and I know this is something that's commonly done on this vehicle, so I figured to be the one to teach you guys how to do it if you don't know how to do it. But we're going to be doing on this Pontiac Grand Prix GXP. This is the same procedure for Grand Prix GXPs, Impala SS, Monte Carlo SS, and Lacrosse Super. Anything with that 5.3 LS4 V8. We're going to be doing a radiator for it. It is a tight space, don't get me wrong, but it's actually not as bad as it seems. I've done several of these on other LS4s, and there are basically two main tools that will make this job a lot easier. Those are this pick here, you'll definitely need that, and one of these radiator tools. It's a long handle with a line attached to it with a clamp, because as we know, this LS4 has radiator hoses in very inconvenient places that are hard to get pliers or even hands, let alone. But yeah, let's get started. So we are going to start with a 1/2 size socket and remove these bolts for the crash bar here. Sorry, I do not have my tripod, so I will be holding the phone as much as I can while doing this job. But we're going to take the bottom two out and loosen the top one. Gonna do this on both sides here. It's just running out of heat. Alright, so after we take these two bolts out and loosen the top one up there, just gonna do this thing here and move it out of the way. Let's see. Well, this is far enough because it clears this area right here that we're gonna use it for the radiator. Past that, we're also gonna remove this motor mount here. These are 15 millimeters on both sides. You can use either two sockets and ratchets, two wrenches, two anything. Basically, one to go in one direction and the other going the opposite direction. All right, so just like this, stick one on one side, the other on the other, and just go in that motion. One thing to note, I know I've mentioned this in other vehicles, if the vehicle is in need of motor mounts on the lower end, it may make it a bit difficult to get these in and out because there's stress put on the motor. So if it's shifted forward, then a hole in the bushing inside of the motor mount won't necessarily line up with the bracket on the motor. So as you can see, this is kind of tough to get out. So you just tap it. So we got that out there. Trying to stick this back on here so we don't lose it. These 4 bolts here for the motor mount are 13 millimeters. Get that out there. Now we're just gonna go ahead and slide this out of there. No need to disconnect this middle part here. All right, our next task here is to get the fans out. So start by disconnecting these wire harnesses down here. I like to just use a flathead, just like this. Get it up under there and push down at the back of it, just like that. There's another one right here. Push down on it. She's out. Now, with that, we have a bunch of little retainers down here, or whatever you want to call them. These things that attach in here. So we're going to use one of these to take care of that. So you're going to reach down in there and try and get it behind it. Pretty much in either direction, whatever works best for you. If you break it, it's not a big deal. I mean, you can replace them, and even if you don't, zip ties always serve for things like this. All right, that's one out. There's another one here. Indeed it was. And I want to say there are some at the bottom. I see one right back there. But we can worry about that when it's closer to pulling this assembly out. So, shooting part here, we have some 10mm bolts that hold it on. We have one here. I want to say it's just a clip down there. Okay, yeah. So we also have this one here that we can take off. This is part of the main harness. Pry that out. Get a flathead in there and open it up. Just like that. Just get it around. We also have one more here for the battery cables. This one, we're gonna do the same thing, just open it up. It's actually not attached to anything. This one belongs probably the one that goes right under here. Oh yeah, where it's broken at. So we can just take that off and throw it out later on. This is the one that has to come off. So, alright, so that's off. Now we want to get preferably a small 10mm and ratchet. Remove these bolts. Looking driver's side. I'm going to remove this bolt here for the fan. Alright, maybe a deep socket would be better. Alright, there's one on that side, and the more tricky one to get to, which is on this side. Now, one thing that makes this job easier is taking the battery out, which, now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, stop what we're doing. So, 13mm in my case. We've got our 11mm. Just crack those loose. Take them off by hand after that. Take this battery terminal off. Just wiggle it off. And it comes off. Same for the negative. Just give it a wiggle and a tug and it comes off. And now we can pick this up as I was saying before. Pick the battery up, I'm gonna kick it up on its side. I'm gonna try not to pinch the power wires here. Don't lose your battery terminal bolts. Pick it up, try and get this back up. Now we can proceed to get this 10mm out that's right here. Alright, that is. Now we can just go ahead and get this from up under here. It's just a bunch of hooks. there, all the way around. And just hook this over the oil for now. Now we have a few more 10 millimeters to remove. We have one here, and one here. So go ahead and remove. Stick that there for now. One in the center down here. Just grab that. Kind of get it from around. Now this bolt we can't put back so that we don't lose it. Got that out. Oh, well, that's not supposed to happen, but this is broken, so you can actually throw it out. It's the radiator support, stops it from rocking back and forth, but one side is broken, so yeah. And that is attached to the fan assembly. But it's not the end of the world if it breaks, but just go ahead and pick this up off of there. Like that. Disconnect this here. You want to get some small pliers or needle noses or anything to help get that hose clamp off. So just gonna stick some needle noses in there. Squeeze. Try not to rotate it and let it go. Far enough, so. So as we can see, this was already broken inside of here. But good thing is, a new one comes on a new radiator. But let's not forget, we have to get this old one out. So, we'll worry about that later on when it comes time for reinstallation. Just get that off to the side. We're gonna tuck it up under this pulley there, so that it doesn't go anywhere. And now we can start to remove the fan assembly. So what it is, those bolts we took out, and then on the bottom part, like down right there, it hooks on. So if you look and just pick it up, it unhooks just like that on both sides. So just lift, just like that, and we wiggle it on out of there. So we have this part here getting stuck on this transmission line. That's where this lovely pick comes into hand. Just like that. Just get it on out. Just go ahead and give it a pull and let it come out eventually. You wiggle it up and down a bit. Get it loose, and it drops just like that. But now, one of the things you want to work, you get the driver's side out first, and then the passenger follows. And don't be afraid. Sometimes the plastic for the fan does break very often with jobs like this. It happens. It's also not the end of the world. So now here are those wires we have at the bottom. You'll see where I'm talking about. You have the fans almost out, but this is the rest of the wires we have tied in here. So that one off there, that one there, That one there. And the fan assembly is OUT out. All right, so in the meantime, I'm just gonna push that back in there just so that it's not leaking out while we're working. This wire harness here for the fans. Let's put it back here by the belt. And now, the only thing that's left, radiator hose clamp here, radiator hose clamp there, the bottom transmission line, hose clamp, clamper, whatever you call this thing. So you get it on there like that, squeeze the handle, and while squeezing with one hand, you just slide it back. Just enough to get it off of, like just back right about there. The actual radiator should not go that far back, so that should satisfy us. And you want to get a bucket under the car because this will leak if you haven't leaked out everything already as it is. And surprise. But you just get under there, feel for it, like pull it that way so it's locked in on one side, squeeze. There we go. Now, before we reinstall, I'm gonna do myself a favor and rotate that hose clamp so that the clamping mechanism side is face up. Pick this little thing off there. Just push it back, just like that. Out. So, just gonna wiggle it on out down there. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And there she is. The only thing we have left to worry about that is sometimes difficult is how the radiator is attached to the AC condenser behind this. Well, in front of it, because this is the front of the car. So it is also hooked in. So we're gonna reach back here and push down on this second radiator looking thing. Oh, sorry guys, I lied. There's also a 10mm bolt here that secures the lines of the AC condenser. Really quick. Fought with it for a few more minutes and I finally got it to release. So now we just have to pull the radiator out. Driver's side first. Watch all of these lines and wires and you name it. The foam falling, but our radiator indeed is out. So now it's time to head to the auto parts store and grab a new one.